What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to a weekly gaming news show, the podcast where seasoned video gamers talk about the week's gaming news. It is Sunday, the 24th of September, and we got some stories for you because TGS just ended, but we're also going to be talking about other things as well. And joining us this week, of course, I got my main man, Todd, but we also have a special guest. Everybody say hello to Ox or O. I don't know what you want to be called online. What is your name, sir?
I'll be called O and stuff.
All right, welcome O to the show. How's everybody going?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm excited. I'm excited for all the stuff that happened at Tokyo Game Show, and freaking, I can't wait for so many things. So I'm happy to be here.
Yeah. Cool. Mount Lovers feels left out, but he's joining us from the chat. He will be with us in spirit. So let's go ahead and get things started with the first segment of the show, and that is the weekly icebreaker. And
before we jump in there, I do have a correction.
We got some corrections. It's been a while since we had updates and corrections. Why don't you go ahead and take us there before I fucking forget about it. Let's go.
Yeah, so last week we were talking about the Overwatch League adding 2 new teams. I said it was 13 and 14. It was actually 11 and 12.
Okay.
That's it.
So, slight update. Want to make sure that we give you guys the correct information, and any time that we're wrong, please correct us. We don't take offense to being corrected, okay?
No.
We're not trying to push any fake news out here. But yeah, so now let's go ahead and get on to the weekly icebreaker. And if you're new to the podcast, the weekly icebreaker is just a question that we ask of the panel to get a sense of where we are on certain gaming topics. And this week, O was nice enough to provide us a question. So O, why don't you go ahead and present the weekly icebreaker to the panel?
Yeah, no problem. So icebreaker wise, I think I'll just choose this one just to be sure.
Yeah.
Should video game conventions be open to the public?
Very good question. I think that they should. Honestly, I don't see anything wrong with it besides there's like the capacity issue. But I mean, the more people that are able to like get their eyes and ears and hands on the what's being showcased, the better it is for gaming in general. Like they just recently, like I think the most recent E3 was open to the public, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
and they haven't. Oh yeah, you were there. And they hadn't done that in a long time. But I feel like with the decline of how prominent some of the real big conventions are, I feel like getting as many people in there as possible is gonna probably be a mainstay. What do you think, Boogie?
No. I don't think they should be open to the public.
Damn, I don't think we've disagreed on this show in a very long time. No.
Get out.
All right, let's hear them out. What you got?
No, I don't think they should be open to the public because the purpose of the convention is it should be industry convention, right? Industry and news. So right, you got the companies that's bringing out their new, whereas a lot of it is unfinished, alpha beta builds, and you got reporters to cover it, right? That's what it should be. I don't think it's really advantageous to have the public at the convention, because a lot of times they're building up hype that's not going to materialize because they're overexcited about something that may not be finished. Sometimes some of these things don't even come out. So I think it should be an industry insider type event, press, and industry people only. That's my thoughts. I think having people there, and then on top of that, it gets crazy because people are people.
People are crazy. I will give you that.
Are people.
All right, but what do you think? Oh, this was your question. So what do you think about the topic?
I mean, me personally, after I went to E3, I'm not gonna lie, I was blown away at how freaking awesome was the first day. But literally, I can tell you that after the first 10 minutes of being in there, I was like, this should not be. But I'm kind of mixed onto it there. I kind of have both of the same opinions as both of you guys, where I'm like, hey, they should show off a game and do this or whatever and open to the public in order to, spread the word. And like, well, no, because, some games might not come out. They might not even be leaving and stuff. Yeah. Honestly, for me, I feel like it should really be kind of 2 things. Tokyo Game Show kind of does that, where they close it off for a few days and only have industry people come in and do what they have to do. And I really felt that they should have did that with E3, but Tokyo Game Show's always kind of had that kind of thing. And then open up to the public for games who are coming out and pretty much confirmed to come out or whatever, and have an actual full build, and not like, just like Boogie said, we shouldn't be playing a game that's super alpha and it's like, yeah, we might have funding and then just never come out and stuff. There's no reason to spread that. So I feel like it shouldn't be open to the public, but if you're going to open to the public, you should do it the Tokyo Game Show way, where you go put them out there. Now, it's pretty shitty because Tokyo Game Show, I'm coming from E3. I've been sitting in lines for like 3 hours just to play a fucking game, and the Monster Hunter line over there was 10 hours.
Oh, what?
Yes, that shit was
wow.
Said I was like, nope, I'm not gonna do that or whatever. And like you might as well not even sit in the line because you can't even make it or whatever. And that's at TGS. Over at freaking E3, you didn't know what was in that tent, but you knew it was Monster Hunter because I had that big thing. People were sitting in that line for 6-8 hours.
Well, a lot of publishers and developers are doing this thing where if they want the public to see it, like especially before Gamescom, because that was like overseas or whatever. What a lot of the companies did was they flew people to their studio or whatever, and just like gave them like a public build to play and showcase, and allowed them to use the footage for their YouTube channels. So while the conference could be more tailored towards industry insiders, I think that actually could possibly I feel like that's a fair thing to go by, because a lot of people are actually inviting people to get coverage from the consumer perspective.
Right.
So they actually allow them to come in, because a lot of YouTubers, they're not gonna fly to Tokyo to see all that. They're not gonna fly out for Gamescom or anything,
right?
But before they go, they'll allow them to come in and play it. And during there's always like the embargo where you can't like upload it until this time. Right. But I've seen that a lot more. So maybe that's something that they can do. Like when they want the public to see it, they can invite special people to come in.
I would prefer the way Nintendo did it. The when they did, I think that was the Switch, and was it ARMS? I think. They do the road show where they just show up in the city with a bus or a truck for a couple of days, for a weekend, have a bunch of Switches set up, and people can go and play. And they just hop to city, do it that way. I mean, if you want to get your game in hand, I would rather see something like that. When you set up a convention and there's tens of thousands of people descended on one place, like O said, I mean, you want to play a game that's coming out and you got to wait 6, 8, 3, 10 hours. It's nonsense.
Man, I could not play Mario at all. The line was at the start, everyone lined up. It was almost near the booth of the PlayStation Experience, and that was like half across the damn convention thing. Damn. Like, it's ridiculous. I was like, wow. But all I could do was see it. I could never play it. It looked cool from far. I'll never know.
You'll know when it comes out.
When it comes out,
that's it. But I mean, I never got that experience. The Nintendo booth was ridiculous, though. But yeah, I
digress. So overall, I think that it can definitely benefit from being open. O is mixed, and Todd is more of the industry insider. So we have a pretty well balanced opinion on this, which is not normal. We usually agree on everything. So I actually liked having that discussion. Thank you, O, for providing that question as the weekly icebreaker. And if you want to add a question to the weekly icebreaker for us to answer, make sure you hit us up on our social media, either on Twitter or Facebook. Use the hashtag weekly icebreaker and ask us a question, and it may get discussed during this segment in a future show. But let's go ahead and jump into the next segment, and that is going to be the quick hits. And these are some lightning round stories that we want to present to you guys that don't necessarily deserve the deep dive of the top 5 news stories. So first, this is a bit of an update as well, because we talked about it on a very recent show. That was last week?
It was last week. Yeah, this is more of a "I told you so" story.
Pretty much. So last week we talked about the multiplayer version of Super Mario 64, titled Super Mario 64 Online, which allowed for you to play a variety of different modes with a variety of different characters in Super Mario 64. And just like we predicted, it has been swiftly shut down by Nintendo.
I mean, we all saw it coming. Come on.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
yeah,
of course.
yeah. You can't expect this guy to be any different from AM2R or Pokemon Silicone or whatever the fuck, whatever the hell that version that came out that the guy was working on for 9 years.
Nintendo's on it right now. I mean, sheesh.
Right. I mean, even when we reported, when we were talking about it initially last week, the video that we had linked to it was gone. Like the video that we were using, it was gone. Like during the show, like they DMCA'd that video, so he took that down from his YouTube channel. So he's received the cease and desist. There's no more of this. He won't be working on it anymore. I'm not sure how the servers or whatever worked. I'm pretty sure it was peer-to-peer. So anybody that currently has it, I believe, can still play it.
Can still play it, yeah.
But he will not be providing links or anything to it anymore, and he won't be updating it going forward. So rest in peace to another fan game. I'm actually kind of upset that I didn't get to play it. I mean, I'm sure I can if I still wanted to, but I didn't get to play it, while it was still a thing. Yeah, while it was still hot fire. But yeah, let's go ahead and move on to the next story. And we're still talking about Nintendo. And this is actually pretty interesting because just recently, data miners were actually able to find out that there is a Nintendo NES emulator intact with every Nintendo Switch. And what it is, it's an emulator, and it only plays the game Golf.
The Nintendo Golf.
Yeah, because flog is golf spelled backwards, so that's kind of like the hint right there. But what was really interesting is that the people that found this realized that it has some kind of like motion control interface or whatnot, and the way that you actually activate it is that on the I think it's in July. I don't remember the exact date, but it's the anniversary of the previous Nintendo president, Mr. Iwata, on his death day, which is sometime in July. I can't remember the exact date. If you do like this with the Joy-Con, like you're doing like the Nintendo Direct, like directly to you, like that motion that he used to do. If you do that on your Nintendo Switch, it will just boot up Golf. And you can play it. So
dope.
Yeah, data miners were they found it, and it's very interesting because it was put in there deliberately by Nintendo, and I'm curious as to why they did it. Besides just showing tribute to their previous president, but was this meant to be found? I don't know. I mean, it's kind of hard to believe that nobody did this with their Switch on that day. I don't know. It's just kind of interesting, and it's a really cool story, and it's a really cool tribute because in Japan they celebrate the date of your demise or death or whatever. I'm not trying to sound sinister at all, but they celebrate that to basically remind you of all the good times, and this is just something really cool that's embedded in every single Switch console. So next year when the date comes around, everybody's going to be like going directly at you so they can get some golf action.
Nintendo Golf, yeah.
Nintendo Golf. So that's pretty cool. Something that we wanted to bring to you. And finally, our last quick hit. Boogie, why don't you go ahead and take this one? I feel like I've talked enough.
Right. So with the latest alpha build, I actually got it this morning. I got to load. But you are now able to, on the Xbox One, use a third-party camera, a USB camera, to stream. It only works with Mixer right now. It would be up to like Twitch or any of the other services, YouTube, to implement that particular functionality. But as it stands now, it works with Mixer. You can use a third-party webcam. So I mean that adds quite a bit of flexibility for people. You don't have to buy the Kinect.
The Kinect is probably the worst camera ever. By the way, it's bad, man.
Yeah, it's bad. It's because it's got to be fixed in a fixed location.
Yeah, it's a fixed location. Right. Can't be like altered in any way. You just have this like super wide angle.
Exactly.
Like
so many rules.
Yeah,
so many rules.
But I think this was. I'm not sure. I know that you can use third-party USB mics. Like if I connected my condenser mic to the PlayStation 4, that works.
Right.
Does that work on? I don't think that works on Xbox.
No, the mics, I believe they do work. I'm pretty sure they do. It's been working for a while, but the camera is new.
That's cool.
And that's real cool. Like you said, the flexibility, and I mean, especially if you're a professional streamer, it's a way for you to.
Or if you're just starting out, because
you're just starting out, right?
Yeah, this is some more like getting like streaming 101. You know, when you're using the Xbox software.
It's actually lowers the bar to entry, right?
Yeah.
So instead of you having to go and get your capture card and your camera and the PC and all that stuff, just plug everything up into your Xbox and off you go, which is kind of nice. I think the next thing they need to do is they need to implement native chroma key functionality.
Yes, that would be pretty dope. I feel like that's something that they can do, because the camera, at least the Kinect camera has that kind of like color canceling technology.
Yeah, it does.
So I feel like that's something that they can definitely implement. It'll be hard to get like the nooks and crannies and like actually like fiddle with it, like unless they like come up with some kind of like control. But I mean, they're trying to make streaming easier for everybody. So I mean, hey, why not?
Not a bad thing.
Not a bad thing at all. Yeah, and we've been saying this off camera. Xbox is doing like the most when it comes to like functionality with their console. But they need to provide some goddamn games, and then we'd be in there. Give us some games. Like, what is the problem? Like, I'm actually curious. Like, what are they doing? Like all of these tools and no games to actually utilize them on. I don't know. But that was our quick hits. If you would like to submit a story to us, you could do so by just using our social media. We are a weekly gaming news show on Facebook. You can send us stories. And most likely they'll be entered into the quick hits. So just send us your stories, and we'll talk about it and give our opinions, and we can get this discussion going. But I think that's a perfect segue into our next segment, which is the top 5 news stories for the week. But before we do that, I want to give a quick shout out to our sponsor, the homies, and the homies over at the New Challenger Discord. Head on over to newchallenger.gg to get good at your favorite fighting game with support for Street Fighter V, Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, Injustice 2, and Tekken 7, and more coming down the line. The website is newchallenger.gg, and you should also follow those guys on Twitch and on Twitter at New Challenger TV, because they post things every week, like the beginner breakdown that takes a match and breaks down like all the mistakes and everything that you're doing, so that they can help you get better. It's a vast community filled with very knowledgeable fighting game enthusiasts, and Mr. Vinegar is the founder of New Challenger Discord. So big shout out to him, and thank you for sponsoring our podcast. And a huge shout out to Mount Lover, who is in the chat trolling as usual. And he's also a moderator for the Discord, as well as a commentator and organizer for the Street Fighter V tournaments, and the best Yamcha NA. Confirmed already.
I can't wait for the.
I can't wait for that. Yeah, that's going to be good. So let's go ahead and hop into the top 5 news stories. What we got first, Boogie?
Okay, so the most interesting and biggest news, or the news people have been talking about the most this week, is Fortnite. Epic Games Fortnite game. It's a survival game. First, last weekend they accidentally
hand quotes there.
enabled cross-platform play, Xbox One and PS4 users. And players figured this out because PlayStation 4 players, if you're unfamiliar, PlayStation Network does not allow spaces in the user and the gamer tags,
right? Where
Xbox does. And PlayStation 4 players started seeing players running around with spaces in their names. And there was a whole Reddit investigation and with screenshots and corroborations and such. In fact, there was apparently a father-son. One had an Xbox, one had a PlayStation, and they were also able to play with each other.
Right.
So the feasibility of cross-platform play and the security concerns of Sony are highly exaggerated.
Yeah, it seems like it's just a flick of a switch and we in there.
Right.
Because Epic Games, they put out a statement saying that they rectified the issue, but then as soon as they did that, was it who over
Phil
at
Spencer.
Phil Spencer over at Xbox. He said that I wish that we would have kept it on.
They should have just left it on. Yeah,
they should have just left it on because it was pretty cool.
The deal first. Need to see that money first.
It's all about that money. Yeah, you right about that. But so they disabled it, but they've pretty much shown that it's a possibility if we didn't know that already.
There's no reason for cross-platform play not to be a thing right now between PC, Xbox, and PlayStation, and it's just some people just don't want to do it because.
Well, there's a reason for it. All know it's a reason.
Well, yeah.
Come on.
But
okay. There's no technical reason that this shouldn't be a thing.
Right. Yeah, because we've been talking about this, for a few weeks now. But what are your thoughts on cross-platform play?
Yeah.
Honestly, I kind of wish I was playing Fortnite at that time to actually do that, because I would have been, come on now. Like, let's face it, right? As much as I know people keep saying, obviously, there's still, obviously a console war, we got all this going on, and it's still there. Of course, it's still there and stuff. But, there's always that rival debate, like, this guy got a PlayStation 4 and I got an Xbox, so I guess we're the freaking rivals. And, and that's what we want to do. We want to fight somebody going back together. I thought it was a really
get some
cool
clan battles going, man. That'll be like the most epic clan battle type thing that you can do.
And I think that's awesome. I think it'd be really cool. I wish I had a chance to do it, but honestly, I can understand why you wouldn't want to do it. I mean, we haven't done it for so long, and there's really no reason to be like, now all of a sudden do that without, put your money up and everything else and stuff. So,
the problem is there's no additional cost to either party. Platform holders. All the cost is with developers and as far as developing and maintaining those particular servers, right?
Yeah.
There's no cost to Microsoft. There's no cost to Sony. Sony's only. Let me tell you this: if Sony was the number 2 or number 3 console, they would be where Microsoft is right now.
Well, yeah, definitely. They will be trying to do anything and everything to make it a possibility.
But they know that Microsoft has a handle. They are the standard in terms of a amazing online experience with your console and stuff. So it'd be silly for them just to be like, let's go ahead and do that and stuff like that.
Like pretty much Sony allowing for cross-platform play, true cross-platform play, is giving Microsoft a win. Honestly,
true.
It's giving them a win, and they don't want to do that.
Right. Exactly. I would have to agree with that. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but we're not done with Fortnite because there's something else that came out this week. Boogie, what else? What's going on? What else going on with Fortnite?
Oh god,
Fortnite is releasing on the 26th, right? They're starting. They're gonna release their battle royale mode. It's a 100-player battle royale mode. You get dropped on the island. Every man for himself. You get a couple of minutes to scavenge.
That sounds very familiar.
If this sounds familiar to you, it is an exact replica of what PUBG is. Player Unknown's Battleground.
Yeah,
it's an exact replica. I mean, there's generally no difference. The gameplay is exactly the same.
But they're owned by Epic, right? So they're the same.
Fortnite is Epic.
Okay.
Player Unknown Battleground is by Bluehole. The funny thing is, it is running on Epic's Unreal Engine 4.
Yeah, so Epic did have a slight hand in their development.
Right. Yeah. They provided support based on any support they would provide to anybody using their
engine. Yeah.
Right. And that's what they say, but still, I mean, it's the Bluehole is not happy. They're extremely upset. To the point in looking into options, maybe legal matters. But me personally, I don't think that unless Epic took something directly from them while they were helping them develop using the engine, they don't have a leg to stand on.
They don't.
Yeah, unless they have some kind of like trademarked like code or something like that. I feel like this genre is up for grabs, and it's a very popular genre. The game is super popular. It's one of the highest streamed and highest played games that to come out in recent months.
It was number one. It passed. I can't think of the number one game, but it's passed League of Legends as a number one. Has the most concurrent players on Steam right now, and it's been like that for the past week or so.
Yeah, you go on any streaming platform, and that's probably somebody's definitely playing that game right now.
Right.
Yeah, so for these guys to just like jump into their genre, it's playing into that money, man.
I mean, why not? Why not?
There's two things. Fortnite is I think it's on PC, but it's console, right? It's on console, PlayStation 4, Xbox One.
Yeah.
PUBG is coming out on Xbox One soon, so it's almost like they're kind of preempting PUBG, right?
Yeah, they're beating them to the punch.
It's like
to
no
console.
point, right?
Yeah. I don't know. It's interesting. I was reading through the PUBG guys, Bluehole's comments, and man, salt everywhere.
I mean, who could blame them? I mean, when you have this popular thing that kind of just came out of nowhere or whatever, and it just kind of banks on the the idea of quick games and fast action, hands down, 30-minute games, because we play long games and whatnot, that they kind of capitalize on. And then, Epic, I mean, if I was a company like Epic and I was like, you know what? We help these guys, man. That's pretty good. Let's go ahead and grab that up and make another game going on here. Yeah, I would.
But I mean, you can argue that it doesn't really fit inside of the Fortnite world, because Fortnite is more of like a survival, taking on like hordes of enemies and like building and crafting and stuff. Do you do that in PUBG? I don't know.
Yeah, not the crafting part, but it does fit in because it's ultimately a survival game, right? And the PUBG is also a survival game, so it's the same type of game. The difference was the base Fortnite game is a PvE type game. It's not a PvP game, and this battle royale mode is the PvP portion. Now PUBG doesn't have the crafting that Fortnite does, where Fortnite you can break stuff down.
You can break stuff down and build
and build up stuff based on what you find. That's not in PUBG, but pretty much everything else that they're doing is.
If anything, that's like an enhancement.
Right.
So.
Right. And to add insult to injury, they are releasing this portion of the game that's free. So on September 26th, download and play for free. It's a free to play.
Yeah, for a free expansion, a free mode.
Yep.
You know what's crazy though is that how they are advertising it. They're using PUBG, similar to games like PUBG.
They're actually using.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
They're name dropping. Oh
yes,
no.
Yes, they did.
Yes, I mean, and they can. I mean, it's not. It's effed up. But I mean, at the same time, it's like, what are you gonna really do about it? You're using our engine. We helped you out to do all the rest of this. Like, why wouldn't I be able to do that? I mean, it is kind of slap the face of the developer, because it's like, hey, we.
Yeah, because PUBG is definitely a much smaller development company than Epic Games.
Definitely indie.
Yeah, it's an indie game that kind of just blew up, and now the big overarching freaking entities are trying to take a bite out of their pie.
Basically, what they did is they created a new genre, right? The battle royale genre. Now all the big guys are going to jump in. I wouldn't be surprised to see games from other big publishers, Call of Duty version, or EA dropping one, or any of those other big guys creating a battle royale type game, or even adding a battle royale mode to one of their existing IPs.
Yeah, and we can go deeper into this topic in our long form, because we're going to be talking more about like the evolution of gaming. So let's save. Let's save some of that for the long form, but we can go ahead and move on to the next story. What we got next?
We got some Overwatch news. It's a bit of Overwatch news that came out. First, we got the Overwatch League has finally announced the start of the inaugural season of the Overwatch League. After they signed last week, the 11th and 12th, that's right, not 13th and 14th, 11th and 12th teams, pro teams, they announced that on January 10th, they will start the inaugural season of Overwatch League. Overwatch's professional league, with playoffs and championships to take place at their new Overwatch, in Burbank, California. What do they call it? The Overwatch Arena, or whatever they call it. Out in Burbank, we talked about that too. And they're going to have a preseason in December, starting December 6th, I believe.
All right, it's about time.
Yeah, so I mean, they're going to be streaming on all the normal places. I think Blizzard has a deal with Twitch. In fact, they have on Twitch. If you watch if you're gonna look at Overwatch streams, you can actually sort and filter by specific hero.
Ooh.
So if you're watching a stream and you want to watch somebody playing Doomfist, you can search for Doomfist and it'll take you to people playing Doomfist.
That's pretty cool. I feel like that's already somewhat implemented in Mixer though, where you can like it's like a multi-stream and you can see multiple viewpoints of the exact same match. So
Right.
I really feel like if Twitch really wants to become like as immersive as it could possibly be, they need to do something like that. Because if Mixer actually has something like that like going, like that's gonna be dope. Where you could just see every vantage point because of the co-stream feature. Right? I keep talking about it, and we've only used it like once or twice, but that is an awesome stream feature. It is so good, and if they can implement that in Twitch, that would be dope. Like that could be pretty cool.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm gonna watch a couple of games just to see how it goes. Again, Hanzo's single shot to the foot is gonna be a problem. So.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god.
Single Hanzo shots to the foot. What else we got as far as Overwatch?
So Overwatch, if you play Overwatch, you play Overwatch, right, on PC?
I played some Overwatch. Yes,
I dabble in the Overwatch.
I dabble.
Do you get in a team chat or game chat and listen to the people in Overwatch?
One time I did that, and I'm not even gonna say what happened when I first got in. But I tell you what, the internet, that's a hoot. That's a hoot in place right there.
Right. So this is something we talked about. I think this was last week too, where Jeff Kaplan came out and said, "Hey, look, Overwatch is so toxic, it's slowing our development." But
they're coming out with all these tools to prevent it.
To prevent it. So what they've now announced is first, they're going to start perma-banning people.
Yes.
It's
somebody's happy. Somebody's happy about that. Get them out.
It's a 3 strikes and you're out policy. So if you get 3 temp bans for bad behavior, the next one after that, you'd be up for a permanent ban. And what's really cool about this, or maybe strict people probably complain about it, but it's a true 3 strikes and you're out. So it's cumulative. So if you get perma ban this season, and then you get another one 2 seasons from now, and then you get another one 2 seasons from that, you can you still get perma ban because those stay on your account permanently. So you only get 3 chances, period, and then you're kicked out of Overwatch. And that means you lose all your character progression, any and all skins you have, and all of that stuff is gone.
Because you can always like sign back in under another username, but like you'll be starting from 0.
Pretty much, yeah. You'll be starting from the beginning. You have to play to rank yourself back up. You have to get all your skins and all that stuff. And skins are big in Overwatch, and some of them are seasonal, and you can't always get them. So. They're definitely throwing the hammer down. And then the second thing that came out is if you are Xbox Live, you have a reputation ranking, right? And if the worst ranking on Xbox Live is called Avoid Me, that's when people, every time they play you play people, maybe you just talk crap, maybe you're a bad player, or a combination of the two, they rate you down until your little tick meter gets to Avoid Me. Well, if you are playing Overwatch and your Xbox Live ranking is Avoid Me, you will be muted. You will not be able to talk in TeamSpeak at all. If you want to communicate, you have to be in a party with the team. Just the open TeamSpeak is not going to be available to you. So, I'm
all about it because it takes a lot of reporting for you to actually get there. A lot of people have to like actively report you for you to get that marking.
And that Microsoft, that Xbox Live reputation is, they take it really serious, and they do they accept appeals, and they do monitor, and they have they have ways built in to prevent people from gaming the system.
Right, so like, because I remember that was a thing too.
Right, you can't get like 10 of your friends and just just report somebody negative just because they beat you in the game or something.
It's a war.
Well, no.
Right.
Speaking of gaming the systems, people used to have their friends report them, like saying that their gamer tag was offensive, just so that they can like
change it for free.
They change it for free. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, they fixed that. So I mean, it's a pretty reliable ranking. I immediately went and checked my ranking to see if I had any avoid me, but I'm in decent standing.
Well, shoot, I haven't played any online shooters in quite some time, but I do remember there was a point in time where I was getting some pretty negative marks. It was during a time where I was like really into like third person shooters like Max Payne 3 and Gears of War. And people like legit thought I was like hacking or cheating. Like it was pretty bad. And I have some videos. I wish I had the footage I could show it. Like I used to get like 30, 40 kills in like maybe 12 deaths. And
wow.
I used to get messages like, "Yo, like why are you cheating? You're hacking. I'm going to report you." And I'm just like, Are you serious? I'm not cheating at all. Like, so I did receive some negative marks.
Just take them L's and get out of the game.
Yeah, man.
I mean, you gotta do. Yeah.
But this was like back in the day. I'm pretty sure they fixed it now. So I should be good.
Yeah,
I should be okay.
Yeah. So those are the couple of things that came out. Like I said, I've played Overwatch, and on Xbox, I'd never go into team chat because those people, especially if you get in a competitive match, those people are nuts. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, like people yelling at you, "Get over there!" Like, yo, chill, my boy.
Oh, the worst. I had one dude just start messaging me evil because I wouldn't get off Junkrat.
Wow.
I was like,
Jeez.
No, I'm using him.
He's like, let me get Junkrat. If you want to win, you lose. I mean, the messages kept going, getting worse and worse. I reported him.
Get out of here. All right, but yeah. So lots of Overwatch news and a lot more coming in the future with the upcoming preseason. So that's going to be really interesting. Let's go ahead and jump into the next story. And here we are going to talk about NBA 2K18. It's been a very hot topic this week, and mostly because of a review from a website called the 6 Axis. And I've never heard of these guys before this story came out. But apparently they gave NBA 2K18 a 3 out of 10. Yes, you heard me correctly. A 3 out of 10, saying that the game at its core is functional, although inferior to previous versions as far as like the core gameplay and the My Career. But what kills this game, the thing that makes this game like an unenjoyable mess, is the implementation of the microtransaction and the virtual currency or VC is what they call it in game.
I've played 2K. I have 17 on PlayStation 4, and I had 15 was the last one I bought before that. And 15, I don't know when they introduced the virtual currency, but 15 had it, but it wasn't that bad.
Right.
So
and that's what everybody's saying. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But 17, I noticed it was pretty bad. Like, for instance, you wanted to as you play like your My Career, you can add points to, like, say your shooting, right? Your 3-point shooting. I want to go from 80 to 81, and before it would cost, let's say, I'm just throwing numbers out. It was like, it'd be like 2,500 points, right? 2,500 VC, and you earn VC by playing in the game. Like, you have good games and you make game-winning shot, or you get triple double, whatever. You get virtual coins, and it would take like 5,000 to go up a level, right? And in the 17, that same progression was like 15,000. It was like 3 times as much, and your earning was less.
Right.
So to really climb, either you had to play a shit ton or you had to spend a lot of money.
Right, and that's what the problem appears to be, is just the progression, the way or the amount of VC that you can accumulate per game is just minuscule.
Right, and it seems like it's got worse for 18.
Right, it's gotten a lot worse. So if you go onto the website, you can see right here, he says what's good and what's bad. The game looks fantastic. The on-core action is smooth, and the neighborhood hub definitely shows potential, because I believe that that's a new feature in the game. What's bad is that the absolute ridiculous grind required to be any good, the instance of slowing down progress and pushing VC packs instead, meaning like instead of actually grinding in the game because it's tedious and time-consuming, they just buy VC. like to spend more like actual
Jesus.
money. And they said that the My Career isn't as good as previous versions, and it's just a bad experience. Gave the game a 3 out of 10. What made this news though? What made it newsworthy was that the people over at 2K Games actually reached out to the Sixth Axis and spoke directly with the reviewers editor-in-chief and asked them directly, hey, can you please revise the score, can you reconsider, blah blah blah. So like soon after the review went up, the final score went from a 3 out of 10 to pending. It went away for a little while, and there was an update that said that they I'll go back to it here. They they temporarily removed the score pending a statement in regard to the criticisms. So apparently they promised to, they told the Sixth Axis that they would soon implement changes that would could improve the score. And while they did in a very small sense by making haircuts cost less VC, because I think they were like 1,500 and they reduced it, but that wasn't at launch. So that's my thing. But the score was reinstated after they said that they would implement it, but it wasn't implemented when they said it was. So they reinstated the 3 out of 10 and stuck with it. And there was a lot of words from the editor-in-chief as well as other people from the Sixth Axis, basically trying to ensure people that they were not pressured. They weren't like pushed to make any changes to the review score or anything. But my thing is, if they reached out to these guys, that's pressure in itself. They may not have specifically stated like, hey, if you guys don't give us a better score, we're gonna blacklist you or whatnot. But just simply reaching out to these guys and reaching out to the editor-in-chief, that's pressure. Right. That's pressure, man.
Yeah, because you're reaching out to the reviewer's boss. I mean, that's a horrible look. And on top of this VC issue, the game was kind of broken when it came out because there was an issue where people's accounts, people were buying virtual currency and progressing, and the save accounts were just disappearing with all their progress. All their virtual currency. So if they spent money, say you spent $20 or $30 or however much it would cost you to get virtual currency, you upgraded your character, that character was just poof, gone next time you logged in. It was actually a server-side issue. They apparently fixed it. I'm not sure how they rectified the people that lost stuff. My assumption is they gave them some kind of refunds or gave them an equivalent amount of VC.
Yeah.
Yep, it's good. I mean, at least they kept the score, and that's good on them or whatever, I guess.
Yeah. So they definitely kept their score. They reinstated the 3 out of 10. But another thing, I just want to give a quick update. The haircuts went from 1,500 to just 100 virtual currency. So
that's a good deal.
That's a pretty good deal, and also because you can't try or preview the haircuts before you actually put it on your character. You have to buy it, and it's one-time use. So let's say you have cornrows and you switch to a mohawk or whatever the fuck NBA players are. If you want the cornrows again, you got to pay more virtual currency. And so that was the update that they were talking about.
Yeah, that's a nickel and diamond feature. That's actually an issue that's in Destiny 2. People are complaining about with the shader system. It went the same way where before it was unlimited. You can just swap them at will. Now it's single use. Yeah. And some of the best shaders are locked behind a paywall. So
man, just it's pretty bad. They're saying that their best value is the $100 VC pack, which gives you
come on now
like best value $100. I just paid $60 for the game. Or
that's a collector's edition. What the hell?
I mean, even if you bought the collector's, they have a gold edition, then a premium gold edition for the game.
You get 50,000 or 75,000 VC.
It's pretty freaking bad, man.
This is what I would recommend to you. Just if you're an Amazon Prime user, just hold your horses because Twitch Prime is going to give you free VC. They did it twice for 2K17. They'll probably do it for 2K18 as well.
Yeah, but if you want to take my advice, don't play this fucking game. That's my advice. I mean, because virtual currency, it's not just for cosmetics. Like you need it to upgrade your character, and you need to upgrade your character to win games to get more virtual currency. Like it's a necessity. It's the backbone of the game.
I mean, I don't understand. I mean, I get it. Like, I get that we see that virtual currency works, you know, like it works in certain games, and that stuff has to be like, you know, it has to be a thing that was like, wow, we can bank on that or whatever. And with the whole things of mobile games and everything else, why not try that in a console game? But at the same time, there's bad and good virtual currency, and this sounds awful. I don't play a huge amount of 2K games. The last 2K game I played was 2K. Just, I guess, first 2K, like back on the Dreamcast. Like,
Damn.
I stopped playing that a long
Sega
time
Sports
ago.
Boys, the Black Dreamcast boys. Here we go.
Yeah, but I mean, with anything in terms of currency, in terms of a console game, when you first pick it up or whatever, it's ridiculous that, you know, I already had to buy a season pass, but now you're just trying to elongate your game to do something, and especially when it's something as minuscule as like a haircut being $1,500 down to $100, which it should have been, or even been just free. I mean, that's just cosmetic. It's not, I don't think that's making the player better. To me, having a mohawk is not making me 3-pointers. That's not what's happening.
So when it comes to like the microtransactions, I'm one that says charge me for cosmetics, but leave my progression alone.
Exactly.
Yeah, let me progress by playing the game. Like, don't
I have to do
because
that.
then you get into like the pay to win category out there, because people will just spend $100, use all of that virtual currency to max out their attributes, and then go online and destroy anybody.
Destroy everybody. Exactly.
Destroy little old broke Trenell that just wants to have fun with his buddies, and I'm getting freaking 360 dunked on. Like, no, my character can't even make layups at 100% accuracy, but I'm getting like freaking under the leg, freaking bam, I'm getting dunked on, man. No, it's not fun. That sounds like a bad game, and you know they're definitely taking microtransaction to a very, very negative place. Right. And I think that this is because they haven't had any competition in a very long time. 2K, so they are definitely stretching their player base very thin. And I mean, if you look at the Metacritic reviews for the users, it's 20s, 30s, 10s.
Yep, and they picked a real bad time because EA just released NBA Live, and it's not as good as 2K18, but it's good enough. You understand?
Yeah, so, it'll be good. It'll get better.
It'll definitely get better. It's got room to improve. But the thing is, it's good enough to say, okay, I don't want to deal with this nonsense virtual currency stuff. Let me try something else. And NBA Live is actually a good enough game to take people away.
Right.
And I don't know if this obviously this had to have been planned without thinking about the competition out there. But this is not a good look for them.
No. Because they were kind of like the shining stars of like the sports sim industry, you know, because of the whole like monopolization of Madden and the NFL. You know, they were kind of like the shining stars where they're like, oh, well, we took those guys that you hate, EA, out of basketball. We took them out, you know, so now you can get a quality basketball game, you know, even though they can still, you know, make you pay for Madden or whatever.
Right.
I was rooting for them. I'm about to get like Tyra Banks on these motherfuckers. I was rooting for you. You were the chosen one. Like, come on. Yeah. Like, you got to do better, man. You got to do better.
Killing me, Smalls. Killing me.
Yeah. Yeah. How many references can you point out? Leave a comment down below. All right, but yeah. So, oh man, yeah. That was a bit. We talked about that for a while. So let's go ahead and get into the next story. What we got?
Battleborn, the game that's been.
Do we have to talk about this? Go ahead.
Yeah, we got it.
No respect, nigga. No respect.
Nah.
Battleborn, which came out last spring, is getting this last content update this fall. The next content update, which is going to be adding actually some skins or characters from Borderlands, is coming out, but it's going to be the last. Battleborn has struggled wholeheartedly or mightily to maintain a strong community. I looked at the Steam numbers, and when I was looking at Steam numbers, there were only 75 people online playing it. 75, not 7,500. 700.
Oh, 75 total.
75 total players.
Oh man, that's bad.
Yeah, so this game is not gonna doesn't have much time left. If you, it's sad because it's actually not a bad game. It's a good game. The problem with it is because his art style is close to Overwatch, it got lumped in with Overwatch. But it's definitely it's a MOBA. It's a battle arena game in first person as opposed to like a first person team shooter.
Right.
But yeah, it's just a dying breed. This game right here, Battleborn, they need cross-platform play because you can take the 75 people from PC, the 150 from PlayStation 4, and the 90 from Xbox. And
we got us a server, boys.
Heck yes, one server, one job done. Let's go.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Battleborn has just been plagued with just the worst luck, man. We've said this on previous podcasts that they just came out. They just came out at the wrong time, way too close to Overwatch, and even though they're nowhere near the same game. They got compared together, and everybody just was like, "Oh, well, Overwatch is the better game from the two."
Right. It's definitely it's his own game. I mean, if you played it, if you actually really got into it, it's actually deep and it can be interesting. I'm just not a MOBA. The problem with Battleborn and me is I don't like MOBAs. Period. It can be first person, third person, top down. I don't care. It's a MOBA. Fuck you.
But Todd is just like Overwatch, though. I mean, come on, man. Just go ahead. Oh, I said straight MOBA.
Spoken like a true Overwatch player over here. But yeah, they're going to be receiving their last content update. And, big ups to the developers, Gearbox, who have just stuck by this game through thick and thin, seemingly. Because, they tried the free-to-play model. And, they were still, giving up patches and stuff like that. So, big ups to them. Hopefully their next project does a lot better. Because this was just the wrong place at the wrong time for Battleborn.
When you look back at it, I mean, it's going to be one of those games where this should have been much better than it should have been received much better than it was.
Yeah,
it should not have been treated the same as a game that is not the same as is, which
right.
is dumb.
No.
But
it's just first person shooter with cartoony characters. They're the same. Like that was the internet's perception of the two, and the public opinion matters, man. Like the general consensus around Battleborn is that it is not as good as Overwatch. Like that.
That's it.
Makes sense.
Do I want to play Battleborn or I want to play Overwatch? And Overwatch wins out.
Yeah.
So
it's very, very unfortunate. Shouts out to Gearbox for just riding along there, but it's time to take old Yeller out back very soon.
Go ahead and bring us that Borderlands 3 and just forget about the Battleborn stuff.
Yeah, just get it out of here. It's all right.
Get it out of your system, man. They probably had this in the works for a while or something. I don't know. All right, but yeah, our last story out of the top 5 is going to be a wrap up for news and events that happened at the Tokyo Game Show 2017, because that just wrapped up not too long ago. So let's go through it. What happened and what were you excited about?
We talked about this before the show.
Yeah, not a lot happened.
Oh my god!
A lot happened, but the stuff that happened was all stuff we knew about. There's nothing new happened. I mean, we got a new Red Dead Redemption 2 trailer. There's new Neo. They talked about the Monster Hunter Collector's Edition. They talked about Dragon Ball Z. Yeah,
Attack on Titans reveals, Secret Mono reveal. I mean, there was a slew of cool stuff. But I mean, this is as a biased opinion for myself. From a freaking Tokyo Game Show, I'm like, man, so many new things. Oh, I can't wait. But it's not a bias or whatever. You're right. There's a lot of stuff we already knew that was coming. There was no reason to be, crazy excited. I mean, yeah, we got to see a lot of stuff, and I guess that's the see and believing thing when it really comes down to it, right? We hear about it the longest of time. Like I hear about, freaking Half-Life 2 might be coming out. But, everything else, what I mean, Half-Life 3. But, everything else that comes in, when you see it, it's a whole other big thing. So, a lot of stuff was talked about that we knew about. and we've seen it.
I will say, like, some of the stuff that they showed, for instance, Monster Hunter is something that was on my periphery. I was like, yeah, whatever.
On the peripherals, come on now.
Yeah, I'm not a Monster Hunter guy. I've
that
never
shit looks
played,
real, dude.
But I watched the trailers that were coming out of TGS, and I'm like, that game is looking like something you probably should want to play. Because I was very impressed with the Monster Hunter trailers. Is kind of pushed me to like, okay, it's okay from afar to maybe I might get this.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
So,
but overall, it was just like a lot of trailers to show off like new content or content to games that haven't released yet that we already knew about. So it wasn't a whole lot of announcements. Some of the best things that they showed off was the update to, or the Zone of the Enders remake. That's coming out. That's a thing. What else? The Attack on Titan 2. The Resident
Defender.
Yeah, the Earth Defense Force. The Resident Evil 7 DLCs. There's something that we knew about. Knew that it was a thing, but didn't know.
We hadn't seen anything
How's it
about
gonna play?
Right.
Like, are we gonna get Chris? I mean, is he more action based? And from what we've seen,
it does say that it is Chris. It is Chris Redfield. So that's something that we didn't know either, because at the end of Resident Evil 7, he just said, "I'm Redfield." Man, I guess. I mean, it came out this year, but it was like that was a while ago. Come on now.
I mean, there were announcements. I mean, at Tokyo Game Show, they did announce that Dragon Ball Z character, Android 21. They did announce small other games that came out. I mean, a lot of what Tokyo Game Show was, I mean, we can all agree, it was a lot of updates of like games and stuff. We got DLC for Dead or Alive. We got games that are already out, like Dragon Quest Builders coming out for the Switch. New Monster Hunter character in Marvel's Capcom or whatever.
Right.
In there.
Oh yeah, actually,
new
Monster
footage,
Hunter.
new footage for the Evil Within 2 is coming out. That they showed that off, and
that looks crazy.
I mean, there's a ton of stuff. There's a ton of stuff to be excited about.
Right.
But in terms of news, there wasn't a lot of news to be like, you know what? This is so brand new that why haven't we heard about this going from there?
Right.
So that's the point, I guess, what we need to say for the wrap up. Wrap up was a lot of good stuff was seen, not a lot of things new.
Yeah, not a lot of new things shown off. So, we'll have some links in the description where it can or some articles that you guys can look at to get a sense of what was shown off, and you can see what's coming out for your favorite game. But Cold Vein, they showed that off from the first time since like E3.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And that looks dope.
Pretty good. Yeah.
That looks
Dark
pretty
Souls
dope.
anime. Let's go.
Yeah, it's like anime Dark Souls. Let's go. I'm all with it. But yeah, you just wanted to do a quick recap of the Tokyo Game Show. But now we can go ahead and jump into the next segment, which is the long form discussion. And O was nice enough to provide us with a long form discussion topic as well. So why don't you go ahead and introduce it?
I do what I gotta do. I gotta do it. But, all right. So this is a topic that always comes up in terms of anybody doing talk about video games or anything else like that or whatever. But it's totally opinionated, and everyone has a different spectrum. So in general, the long form is, where do you want the game industry to go for its next evolution? I can start off to kind of give like an idea of what I'm talking about here.
Okay.
So in terms of like the video game industry, for me anyway, the next evolution, a lot of people will say, it's VR. We got to be in our games. You got to do some things, whatever stuff. It's different things. For me, I guess like the next evolution for me or whatever is how we can improve on our current genres to the next level in terms of a video game of what's coming out or whatever. For me, genres go every day, like we talk about old things. We can bring up old genres like Rock Band, or we can bring up old things like puzzlers like Tetris, or we can forget games like point and clicks like Sim whatever and stuff.
Myst,
or Myst, my bad, you know what I mean. But all that stuff, all that stuff in general, those games genres, they can come back at any time and have a boost of something else. I mean, we look at the Telltale games, which are pretty much of what
like the evolution of the point and click.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Those games add more choices stuff. So for me, the next evolution for me in terms of the gaming industry is and whatnot, is how we can incorporate these old ideas and evolve them into something new, something that's different for like the RPG or for the shooter or anything else like we've done before. Graphic wise, I don't think right now we're hitting a staple of like, this is what we want it to look like, but we can always make it look more amazing. I mean, look at that Final Fantasy engine that they had with the Aegis or whatever the heck there was, whatever, it looked amazing, and then they showed off how like the detail like comes in it almost look real. So to me, that's
that one game we were talking about earlier, that's coming out on multi-platform, the Destiny like thing.
Oh, the Anthem.
Yeah, Anthem. Oh, that game.
Yeah, I was like, yo, that's that next level Tony Stark, everyone is in here type deal.
That's a looker right there.
Right.
Yeah, that to me, that's the next evolution of game, is how we can enhance our genres to something that doesn't look remotely close to the original, that has the same staples and stuff. But that's just me.
Yeah, anyway, I agree, because there has been some like evolutions in like gaming genres that we have been around for. Some like to say that the hack and slash is a evolution of the beat 'em up genre. Like, we don't really see too many beat 'em up games anymore, because side scrolling isn't really. I mean, in the indie scene it is, but it's not as prominent as it once was in the 90s. But the hack and slash genre, I mean, we get a Warriors game like every 6 months, dude.
Yeah, basically.
So, I don't know that I don't think that I have the insight to like predict where certain gaming genres are going to go in the future. I mean, we were talking about PUBG and how it's kind of taking the survival genre and the shooting genre into a different space, and how everybody is going to like hop on that very soon. Yeah. So that can be seen as like the evolution of the third person shooter genre, or just the survival shooter genre in general. But yeah, I don't know, man. That's an excellent question. That's a very excellent question. Do you have any ideas, Boogie?
Yeah, I'm not looking at outside of game design. I'll look at more technical aspects. And one of the biggest evolutions for the gaming industry has to do with something we talked about. We've been talking about this, is cross-platform. Not only cross-platform play, where I can play against anybody that's playing the same game as me, but also cross-platform saves, where I mean, these companies, EA, Ubisoft, Blizzard, they all make you generate accounts on their sites. So if I have your game, why can't I keep my save across whatever platform I decide to play? So if I wanted to play with O on PC, or I wanted to play with you on PS4, or I wanted to play with my brother on Xbox One, I can maintain my same progression. And I think that type of thing, just the cross-platform where it's me, right? And I can go wherever I want to go. I can go on PlayStation, or I can go on PC, or whatever. I think that is probably one of the biggest steps that the gaming industry needs to go there. And cross-platform play can come later. But I think more than cross-platform play is just my cross-platform profile. Yeah. So I can play any game anywhere and maintain my progression.
What about like this kind of just brought up to myself or whatever, but we talk about progression and whatnot, and you said like obviously hardware, or I guess like it's not really hardware, but I guess like in terms of like software or process and whatnot. But hardware wise, we've always talked about like how we wanted consoles to either be all together, or the new progression or whatever it is. I mean, we see that right now for PlayStation with PlayStation Pro, and we talk about the Scorpio and everything else, and we still I still have PlayStation 4. I don't have a Pro yet. I mean, and then, Scorpio's coming out and people are getting that stuff or whatever. But, what's the next step for that? I mean, are we evolving from there to do so? And then what is that? Obviously a stronger console is going to make stronger software and stuff. But I really wonder in the next 4 years what I'm going to see at the end of the day, because we're getting to a point where the spectrum of terms of buying a console for 4K or whatever is going to be a standard. And then what's going to be like, obviously what's going to be next standard, but what's going to be the next upgrade for that.
Right. Well, companies are definitely testing the waters with this console generation. I mean, this is the first time that we've actually seen like incremental upgrades in terms of a console's lifespan. Like, we've never had like there's always been like small updates. Like the Xbox 360 had a couple of different versions. The PS3 had a couple of different versions, but it was all like small, minute things where it might run a little faster, or or it might be a little quieter because of some noisy ass consoles. It may increase decrease load times. Built-in hard drive. I remember that wasn't a thing where you had like on the 360. Memory cards died with the 360. Like last gen is where memory cards died. But when you think of memory cards, you probably think of like PS2, GameCube, Nintendo 64, Dreamcast.
That stuff.
But they died last gen because it was last gen where we got built-in hard drives and
got cloud storage.
Yeah, cloud storage. Yeah, that was that's all last gen. But yeah, I'm not sure what's next. I really feel like they're testing the waters, and depending on how this all shapes out for both Microsoft and for Sony, this could mean either the end of the sequel console. We may not get another console series beyond Xbox One. PS4 could be the last numbered PlayStation console. Everybody might gear more towards PC, and it really seems like that's what Microsoft is doing. They're trying to set themselves up as a platform rather than just a console that you buy for Xbox games.
Well, let me jump in. As far as like console power, I see where Microsoft is going. They're just limited. They're limited by infrastructure. When I say infrastructure, what Microsoft wants to do, and they've been talking about this a while, they want to use their Azure cloud services. And what they want to do is offload processing onto the cloud and let your box only do what's necessary. So when you're looking at like, when you're looking at doing oh goddamn! when you're looking at doing destruction, right?
Destructible
building
environments and stuff.
Yeah, destructible environments and environmental changes like weather changes and that type of stuff. That's offloaded in the cloud, where only your character movement and interaction with the environment is being processed by the Xbox. I say it's limited by infrastructure because you need strong, steady, fast internet connectivity for that to actually work seamlessly. Oof. And as long as this, as a country, we're a huge country. As long as we don't have that, that's not really it's a non-starter. Because for us that live in major metropolitan areas, I mean, internet for us is amazing, it's great, it's fast, it's stable. But when you go out to Wyoming, you go out to West Virginia, up in the foothills, or even just right here out in Leesburg, in Virginia, they don't have that. They're still using ISDN and like
DSL.
DSL. And it's just not good enough to do that. So one of the things that I see, I mean, there's only so much a box can do without being big and like you said, loud,
a tower,
and super expensive. There's only so much a box can do, and if you can offload some of that processing need, some of the need for processing to the cloud, and be able to send it at an acceptable speed, I think that's where we can actually see some real advancements in game making, where you can have super large multiplayer, where you can have a couple of thousand people,
saw that.
The
chat is live,
and where you can have these super hyper realistic graphics. And steady, fast frame rates, because that's one thing that everybody has a problem with, frame rates. Everybody wants that steady 60 frames per second. That's the unicorn, right? You want the perfect graphics, but you also want that steady 60 frames per second. And if you can offload the power, you can have a affordable box and that unicorn.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when we talk about all these hardware, software, and advanced stuff, the game industry, obviously, everyone's all like, oh man, and game industry or whatnot, I don't really know what else they could do. There's a lot of room for the improvement. There's a lot of room for, just going on to the next step and everything else or whatever. One thing I always was bothered about is that, we incorporate ourselves to be inside the game. Like, I want to be in the world or whatnot. But I mean, I already had that when I was 5, and I have that now when I'm like 20. It's called immersion.
I can get immersed in a game without having a big bulking freaking cinder block attached to my head.
I mean, just because it sounds like I'm slapping VR in the goddamn mouth or whatever and whatnot. Honestly, like my friend Daniel put it to me like this all the time, and I love this quote. I think I said this multiple times on the show. Was that he said, and I quote, he said, "Oh man, GTA is cool and all, but I want to freaking drive a car. I'm not want to drive a real car, right? I want to drive. I know it's a video game. I don't give a shit about physics. I just want to fly over here, get what I have to do, point A to point B. That's it. I didn't ask my games to be freaking realistic. I was like, oh, that's true. Like, yeah. Because when you put it like that, I was like, you know what? You're right. Like, I don't. Like, just because I jump off a thing, like in Monster Hunter, I jump off a cliff and I land. And I thought nothing of it until my sister was like, yo, your knees should be in your chest. I was like, yeah, right.
Yeah. At some point in time. No, go ahead. My bad.
No, I was just like, I never asked to be directly in the game and stuff. But the VR headset, I tried it out. It is something magical. I'm just confused as to, like, is this where I wanted my games to be? Like, do I want an RTS to be in there where I'm like literally in the RTS giving commands, or do I want to be in a shooter to do that? Maybe a shooter, yeah, maybe, but an RPG, be on the field and cutting people or whatever, to be in that game, to live that life is just kind
of play Skyward Sword, you in there.
But I mean, I don't know. That's just for me for VR in general for the next step for them.
No, that was an excellent question though. We got some pretty solid answers out of there. I mean, can we all just come to the conclusion that VR is not the future of gaming? Can we come to that conclusion?
No.
As much as I would like to smack it in the mouth.
Wow.
The reason I say no, because there is a huge simulation. People that like sims, and it's great if you want to do a car sim, like a Forza 7. It'd probably be good for. Sony has Ace Combat 7 or 8 or 20, whichever
the
one
Ace
of those
Combat series,
the Ace coming out for VR. That would be fun, right?
Oh,
so that type of stuff, yes. But like said, Grand Theft Auto, I don't need to be VR Grand Theft Auto. I don't need to be VR Monster Hunter. I mean, that's not necessary, but I think there's a place for it. I don't think it's going to garner the wide adoption that these companies, HTC and Oculus and Sony, are looking for.
Right. Yeah, because there's a certain point where realism can take the fun out of playing video games. Mm-hmm. You don't want too much realism in your games. I mean, if you jumped off a cliff in Monster Hunter and your knees were actually in your chest, like, oh, you can't do that. Like, all right, well, I'm done, man.
I'm not playing this, right?
I don't, yeah, man. Time to go to the hospital. Do you have insurance? Like, how realistic is this? I thought we were fighting dragons. What's going on here?
Do you have insurance? Oh my gosh. Yeah. Gotta get that Obamacare.
Yeah, before it's gone. No, Congress ain't never gonna do that shit. Anyway, that's a topic for another day. Thank you, O, for the long form discussion topic. This was definitely one that got my brain going. I thank you very much for that. And let's go ahead and move on to the next segment, which is going to be our final thoughts. This is where we just revisit the stories that we talked about today and give our final 2 cents on each of them. So because you are our guest this week, why don't you go ahead and start us off with your final thoughts on each topic?
I'm so honored. Oh, thank you. What do you call it? So topics. Ashamed that Monster Hunter 64, freaking Mario 64 got off of the thing, but I mean, it's perfectly fine. I'm not too bad about it. We can still play it. EA, not EA, but freaking EA, I guess, or whatever. It's a shame that they have this for their 2K series, but I mean, at the same time, shame on them for doing that. Very sad that if that is the truth on that date, that I have to do the Iwata Ford thing for Flog. I think I would be crying when I do that, because that's sad for me.
Directly to you, directly. I don't know if you can see my hands directly to you. Okay.
Epic Games, that's rude. There's been a lot of rude stuff happening.
That's rude. I love that.
That's rude. Awesome. It's a little messed up that you did that. And sorry for Battleborn, and TGS was fun, but I can't wait for these games to come out. And that's pretty much all I want to say. That's it.
Boogie, what about you?
Yeah, Mario 64. That was right on the wall. I'm kind of excited about what Microsoft is doing with streaming. I'm guessing they're going to have more stuff coming out. Like you said, Microsoft is making the Xbox a platform that's easy to use with tons of features. Yeah, Epic Games, man. That's gangster, boy. Straight up. They just, yeah.
That's my genre, punk.
This is my block. This ain't your block no more, right?
Freaking Deboed them out of their freaking genre. God damn.
The perma bans finally. Hopefully that helped clean up Overwatch now, just to work on the ankle shot kills. 2K games, they picked a bad time to jump off the rails. I don't know. I'm sure they can recover from it, but I'm sure it's also going to do some damage to them, especially when you start going after reviewers. I mean, it's an opinion. I mean, everybody's not going to like your game.
Well, yeah, I'll get to it when I get to mine. My bad. Go ahead.
Yeah. Battleborn, wrong place, wrong time. Like I say, I mean, it's a MOBA. It's definitely not Overwatch. Just because it's cartoony graphics like Overwatch doesn't make it the same game. And TGS had a lot of stuff. Like I said, I've been the needle's been moved for me for Monster Hunter. I'm more interested in that than I was when I first saw it. And there's some other stuff that was in there, but at least they didn't have the date rape simulator like they had last year.
Oh man.
And that's where I said I'm good there.
As far as I am concerned, yeah, it was meant to like when you use Nintendo properties and you're pretty much asking for a cease and desist. It's like, come on, we've seen it time and time again. These guys are absolutely no different. It's actually really cool and a nice tribute to Mr. Iwata for the the implementation of the golf game on the anniversary of his death. That's actually really cool and a really cool shout out to him. Rest in peace, Mr. Iwata. Third party camera support for the Xbox One pretty much means rest in peace to the Kinect, I guess. I mean, if it wasn't already a dead peripheral, it's deader.
Yeah, I mean, you should see the nonsense you have to have it connected. I still have it connected because I mounted it on the wall. But it's probably going to be coming off the wall at some point.
Yeah, mine sits here. I don't even use like the voice commands anymore. It's literally collecting dust right now in front of my TV. It's pretty bad. I need to dust my setup anyway. Yeah, Epic Games they came in and debowed their genre. That's pretty hood. We'll see how well it does. I haven't seen any any news or anything about Fortnite since the release.
It's not live. The Battle Royale is not live till the 26th. If you paid for the Insider version or the Founders version, you can play it now. But it goes live on the 26th, free for all.
Okay, but I'm talking about the game in general. Like, I don't know how successful it's been or how big the fan base is. I'm not sure how many people are actually playing it.
I watched it on stream a couple of times.
Yeah, well, it's live on Mixer. Mixer has a lot of Fortnite streams going.
Yeah.
So we'll see how it prolongs the lifespan of this particular game. And if they're thinking about legal action, I want to see what charges they bring up, or like what precedent will this
they don't
set?
have any.
Well, I'm just saying, like, what could it possibly be? Like, I'm curious to see what they could, try and sue for.
They can sue Epic Games saying you hurt my butt.
pretty much. Pretty excited for the Overwatch League to start. I want to see what all this hype and billions of dollars is going to do. So I'm definitely excited for that. 2K games, you're taking steps in the wrong direction. Microtransactions have been one of the most hated aspects of gaming for a few years now. For them to just go off the freaking handle like they did was one thing, but then going after a pretty much unknown, like, I think these guys got the most traffic that they've ever gotten because of this whole debacle.
Right.
And to go after them after receiving tons of flawless reviews, 80s, 90s, from like all of the major guys. They want to go after this small freaking company just because that one dude and maybe like one other and some user reviews gave them low scores. I really feel like that was a bad move. They're definitely going to pay for it. rest in peace to Battleborn. I hope the all 75 of you that are playing have a lot of fun with the new content update. That's going to be really fun for you. And as far as TGS, like we said earlier, not a lot of news or announcements for new things, but a lot of updates to currently known, like, you know, IPs and games that are coming out. So I'm really excited for some of the DLC for a lot of the games that were talked about. And I'm curious to see that Resident Evil 7. I really want to see that because like we stated, like back when it came out, like that was a Game of the Year contender at the beginning of the year. So I want to see if they could, you know, keep that, you know, hype and that momentum going, because that was one of the flagship PSVR games. You know, and if they can come back with DLC that is just as, if not more impactful than, you know, the main game was, that's nothing but a good. That's a good thing. You know, VR might be the future.
Maybe.
We'll see. Yeah. So that was our final thoughts. Let us know what you guys think down in the comments section on, you know, the first story, the last story, any of them in between. Let us know what you guys think. Leave comments and, you know, let's get the discussion going. This show is not just about reporting the news. It's about discussing it amongst ourselves and with you. So you can hit us up. We are on Twitter at AWGamingNS. We are on Facebook, a weekly gaming news show, or you can just use the call letters AWGNS. We are also on YouTube, tinyurl.com/AWGamingNS. Make sure you subscribe to that channel because we have the weekly gaming news 10 and 10, which gives you a short snippet of the topics that we will be going over each podcast, each Sunday. And speaking of the podcast, we go live at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on Twitch, on Facebook, on YouTube, and on Mixer. So you can catch us on your favorite platform. Yeah, and just, you know, interact with us. We definitely would take all of your you know, comments and concerns into consideration and submit stories to us and weekly icebreaker questions so that they can be discussed and talked about during the show. And if you're taking us on the go, we definitely want to thank you. And Boogie, why don't you let them know exactly where they can listen to us?
Okay, we are in the general podcasting directory. So if you're using any kind of podcasting app, if you're using the iTunes, or if you're using Overcast, or even on Xbox, the one that's called Cast, we're there. You can search us, a weekly gaming news show, or use our call letters AWGNS. We also have pages on iTunes, Google Play, and TuneIn Radio. Go there. Rate us, leave a comment, let us know what you think, what you like to see, what you don't like, and we'll take it to heart. And if we can implement it or remove something, we will. Yeah, just check us out, leave us a comment, rate us.
Yes, definitely. And a big special thank you to our guest, O. I want to thank you, and if there's anything that you want to plug, go ahead and do it now. You have the floor, my boy.
Inventory comes out on the weeks in general. We talk about gaming news, and we also have many very small news updates and whatnot. May be very minuscule in anything, but please check us out on our YouTube channel. We're almost to 100 subscribers. Once we have that, we could actually advertise a little bit better and then get more content out to you. So definitely check out Infinite Inventory. We're also on Twitter, Infinite Invo. Can't change it, because apparently can't have that many freaking letters.
Yeah. And I'll leave links down in the description so you guys can check out O on his channel, Infinite Inventory. A very funny news show. I really like it. I'm like their number one fan, honestly.
I appreciate it.
No problem. But another quick shout out to our sponsor, the New Challenger Discord. Head on over to newchallenger.gg to get good at your favorite fighting game. And I think that is where we are going to end it. So once again, I want to thank our guest, O, for joining us on the show. And as always, my name is Trenell.
I'm Todd.
And we will catch you all next week. Peace.